NSFW. What is the dumbest thing you did because you were orny? I most jerked off while driving down the highway once. But then I thought if they found my mangled corpse in the wreck with my hand around my ICK, my family would be really disappointed. So my brain won that battle. When I was a kid, my dad would frequently take me to his job and give me meaningless tasks to help him out. He was a property manager for a secure gov building, federal guards at the doors, etc. Anyway, she had his office in the basement and was left alone down there by everyone else in the building. He would smoke cigarettes down there, blast music, etc. When I was 13, I went with him to work one day. Onda gave me the job of using an electric sander to take grime off of copper pipes in one of the machine rooms. I was left alone to my task for hours, and about an hour in I realized how incredibly powerful the vibration was on the sander. One thing led to another and I ended up grinding the handle of the sander on my ick. After I finished, I remember even at 13 saying to myself, "You're really weird, dude." Never told anyone, till now. Jerked off in principal's office to his daughter's picture. Had 3 whole kids. 3 of them. I'm knackered. Tried to choke myself with a towel. Woke up in a hospital with my mum beside me. Paid for a orn subscription that I didn't realize I was still paying for until 1.5 years later. $11.35 for one *RGASM. Decided to masturbate into a urinal because I was bored and *orny studying for finals when I was in college. I studied in an empty classroom in the creepiest old building on campus so that I could be completely focused and not be distracted. I hadn't seen anybody in that building for 3 hours, so I didn't feel the need to lock the bathroom door. Do my business in a stall like a normal person. So I'm going to town on myself, and suddenly the bathroom door opens and I stop mid-fap. Foreskinnesses stop suddenly. I just stood there holding my erect anus for a second, put it back in and leave without making eye contact. Still have no idea who that person was, but they definitely knew what I was doing and that I'm ucking weird. I was helping my dad close up the sailboat for the winter. We took the seat cushions out and the longones had to go in the car between us, kind of stacked up like a wall so we could only see each other's heads. Teenage hormones kicked in on the hour ride home and I proceeded to rub one out while looking out the window. Many moons later I told my brothers, who then proceeded to tell my dad, "I always wondered why you were so quiet on that trip. Where's that guy that ucked a coconut? I feel like we need him in this thread." Drove 4 hours to the beach to camp with a UCK buddy of mine. He stood me up and ghosted me. The icing on the cake was losing my keys in the sand and having to pay $300 for a new set to be cut. Paid for some chick's private Snapchat for a week, 20 cents wasted. Should have ordered a pizza instead. Girl offered to jerk me off if I let her copy my answers off of one of our finals. I thought it was going to be sometime after, but nope, it was right there during a lecture. Being a typical young guy, of course, I wasn't gonna reject the offer. Still surprised to this day we weren't caught. I was talking about this the other day, lol. I once walked 3 miles, at 2 a.m. during a snowstorm in -3-degree temperatures when my girlfriend called and said that her parents were gone for the weekend. The things a orny 16-year-old kid will do to get laid. Lol. Discovered my ick is too big for a prescription bottle edit. I would like to clarify that the girth was the limiting factor as I did not attempt flaccid. Paid $1,200 for a private room at Hustler in Vegas, threw the strippers a wild card and said, "Y'all sit down while I strip for you." WTF was I thinking? Paid $2 for a MSSAGE app on my Xbox that was supposed to make my controller vibrate. It didn't do anything for me and I forgot to refund it, so now I just have this random-ass massage game in my library. Jerked off at the top of a mountain, looking over me city, as doing something forbidden was an interesting idea. Well, the view was amazing, but I was scared to get caught. Looking back, if someone would caught me, I had serious issues now. Called my friend's mom mommy. Tried sucking my own ick when I was 12 and nearly snapped my spine in half. Several years back, a woman I had been flirting with called me in the middle of the night one time BC. She wasn't feeling well and asked if I could pick up some medicine and bring it to her place. Went to her place not expecting too much other than maybe earning some brownie points for dropping off the meds. Anyway, she invites me in and asks if I could spend the night with her. That of course gets me all titillated. However, by the time we get into it, she's all tired and drowsy despite her best attempt at acting seductive. Next thing I know, I'm lying in bed next to her with my arm pinned under her body while she's snoring away and farting. I end up lying like that for the rest of the night. Got maybe 30 minutes of sleep that entire night and of Course I then had to get up to work a whole shift in the morning. At least I did earn some brownie points for that BCWE ended up dating for not quite a year afterwards. Sent my peepee to an ACC and they threatened me thought if I didn't give them $300 they'd leak it. I sent themmy peepee again. IDC if Throughway would leak it LMAO. My ex. God she was an awful person. Though. I was 21 and, big oobs so, did you know? Peeped on my sister's best friend showering. I was 12. It's an extremely cringe memory that haunts me when I try to sleep at night. If I'd known the amount of torment it'd cause me in the future, I would have just watched some AMN orn. FML. When I was in the 8th grade my teacher was a MILF. It was during English, while everyone was working on their essays I was busy rubbing one out under the table. Finished in my boxers, then the post-nut clarity kicked in and I realized I had to wear those boxers all day. Stayed with my ex-wife despite 3 cheating incidents. At that time I felt it was better than being alone. I don't know how I feel about it now. Underage, many years ago me and my current wife were very little horny people. We used to go havocs under this highway underpass a little off the beaten path because our parents were always home. Well, it was also near a community center type building. One day when we were walking through the woods to get there someone thought they seen a man abducting a child. My wife has always been very short. Yes, it was me. We are the same age just have a crazy height difference and I have had a beard from a young age haha. Anyways long story long I was getting a BJ and a cop came down to the underpass from the highway up above and yelled freeze. Let me tell you we both froze. She wouldn't move and had her face covered, with my ick still in her mouth. Then the cop just yelled at us saying, can't you guys be doing this at home? Said he could see I wasn't underage and told us about the call. It was the most embarrassing thing to ever happen. We didn't even bring it up again for a few years. Now we are married and it is a funny memory. We even went back there to mess around a year ago. I'm just here to meet the coconut ucker. Asking random people on Reddit what the dumbest thing was that they did whilst they were orny, which was asked 3 times in the last week already in this subreddit. I had it so bad for this Chinese girl at university back in 2004, and she would not give me the time of day. I did everything I possibly could. Then in a moment of insane desperation and browsing hit during the earlier days of the internet I found some sort of self-proclaimed wizard living in California who specialized in love spells and I hit you not. My 20-year-old brain thought it was a good idea to send said wizard $200 USD to cast the spell. Suffice it to say the spell did not work. To this day I still can't believe how stupid I was. Male hormones are ridiculous things. Put my ick in crazy. Drove almost 2 hours to have X. Drove 300 miles at 2 a.m. for the booty call. Hardest drive of my life, yup, and being honest, was not worth it. Not 1 a.m.n bit. But knowing that I'd prob have done it again still. We men are idiots. Connected with a friend's ex who I knew had feelings for me. Went to catch up over lunch, ended up spending all day drinking with her, then fingered her at the outdoor area of an absolutely packed bar. Neither of us were staying in places we could have people spend the night, so hired a late hotel room, $. Get in the door, she immediately vomits all over the room and spent the next 2 hours crying on the floor saying she loved me while IDIDMY best to clean up. Whoops. Invited a girl over that I couldn't stand because it was a sure thing and it had been a while for me. The ex was awful and I was reminded why I couldn't stand her. 1/10. Would the coconut ucker please stand up? Drove an hour on bald tires in a snowstorm so bad it was like driving inside a white box. Passed so many accidents along the way too. Partner did the same. Totally worth it. Jerked off with some heated lotion like icy hot. Ick burned so bad for days. Also jacked off in the bath once not thinking because I was a dumb kid. Got done and it was stuck to my whole body and was crusty like a old gym sock. Also wore a shirt to school I had whacked off on and didn't notice that my baby sauce was all over it. That actually happened. Twice I was a dirty teenager I guess. Bailed a chick out of jail once. $200. She then got so drunk she peed on my couch and tried to bang my mom took her shopping and just left her there. Never talked to her again. Was having a ank, forgot to shut the curtains. Nosy neighbors. Men in the orn industry, what are the dark and hidden truths of the industry? All those shower scenes are super cold. We're freezing out SSES off in there because otherwise the camera lenses and equipment would be ***ed from the steam. Most of the stepmother scenes are filmed by actresses with no marital or familial relationship to the actor. They just lie about it. Trimix use is rampant. So many injuries cause of suspensory ligament division. If you can't *scam on command, you're pretty much never gonna get a job with a larger studio. I dunno about the other studios, but pretty much any shoot in Burbank is rented property. The whole place ends up smelling like sweat and *hit if null is being shot. Orn chews up its talent in some pretty cruel ways, man or woman. There's this thing called the magic 8, or at least there used to be. 8 inches can last at least 80 minutes and still on command, and can keep it up while at least 8 people just watch. Even with the magic 8, dudes will never make the same kind of money as their female coworkers in straight Orn. If you are a dude, you often need to do gay Orn just to earn a decent wage. Fluffers aren't really a thing when sildenafil, Viagra, is cheaper. The amount of sexual misconduct on set is bonkers. It's very common for experienced talent with no ethics to take advantage of new talent before or after a scene to show them the ropes. Working in Orn period ucks up your personal dating life, even if you are an accountant or marketing. Just mentioning that you work for Orn company makes people very leery about dating you. You are almost entirely restricted to dating in the industry, which sucks when you are just an accountant trying to get by. Edit. Since people are asking, yes, I did work in the Orn industry for a very brief period. I was an equipment manager for one of the production houses. I did not date any models, but I did date in the industry. I mostly just received inventory, but I also was in charge of loaning out assets like cameras, audio recording gear, lighting, etc. We would order gear, and it was my job to receive it, tag it, put it into inventory, then check it out for use. My wife worked in Orn, editing raw footage for a British Orn co. A lot of what she saw was on the level consensual between two parties. But over the 3 years she was there, she got asked to cut or make the scenes look better more and more often. A perfect example was when a male actor choked his counterpart into unconsciousness and continued to just brutalize her, face slapping, pinching and grabbing her breasts. She tidied it up best she could, came home bawled her eyes out for 2 straight hours. She quit the next day and moved into reality TV for a while, but that too was awful, hours in treatment, and it's now out of the editing industry completely. I knew a dude worked in the Japanese Orn industry. He said that often due to the pixelation there wouldn't be penetration, and for the money shots, the guys would often hold a tiny hose on their Johnson with fake *emin being pumped from off camera. If you're subscribed to a high-profile star on OnlyFans, chances are, you're not chatting with them directly. There is no way anyone has the time to chat with every single subscriber. There are social media management teams that handle this. We all have tiny penises, it's just Hollywood magic. You think the actress is sucking, but it's just forced perspective. She's actually 5 feet across the room, like those scenes from LOTR. My ex makes good money from OnlyFans. It is sketchy as UCK. Lots do everything by the book. Keep IDs, test regularly, have contracts, pay taxes, do safe meets, etc. But there are many who don't. The site changed their rules a couple of years ago in an attempt to ensure that everyone featured was of age and consenting. It essentially meant to feature in a video you had to have your own OnlyFans account and be verified by them. Because of it, he had to remove a few videos because some wouldn't agree to join. He was contacted by a reasonably well-known creator who offered to make that all go away. They blur the videos and then have another creator claim that they are in the video. My ex reported this to OnlyFans, and supplied proof of it happening with messages and videos that tagged multiple creators in videos that clearly are not them, and it was ignored. What it essentially means is that there are countless people who have no idea they have been recorded and used in this way, being exploited for cash. The doxing is also very weird. I was in one video with my ex, consensually, and we did everything right. My tattoos were covered up, my face was obscured, we didn't use names, and he has a pseudonym. Despite that he was identified, probably by someone he filmed with, they gained access to his social media, found a picture of us together at a gym event, blew them up alongside grabs from the video and mapped our moles and doxed him and me. Only knew it happened because one of the *uckers couldn't resist messaging me on Instagram to tell me he knew my secret. They are up. There's also a massive issue of sexual assault. My ex is a strict top while being filmed, but he's gone to a collab where everything has been pre-agreed, and he's turned up and there's 3 guys who want to film a different scene entirely. There's this idea that the studio system was exploitative and self-publishing content creators have taken the power back, but the simple fact is that it still can be abusive and you can still end up watching someone being abused. How the UCK do people on command? Do constant suppression for a scene until the moment in the end you just stop the mental blockage? I did photography for a large company in the late 2000s. I had no idea there was a blurred gray line when it comes to orn, rape. I quit because of how one of the poor guy, gay gangbang scene, was being treated. After 4 hours, he was done. He was uncomfortable and in pain. Visually shaken and shut off. Took him home from set, gave him some care. Fed him, gave him some space to process what had just happened to him and let him talk about it, and bought his plane ticket home. I couldn't stomach the abuse under the guise of contracts. It was terrible. Never went back even after I was reprimanded and offered a raise, all in the same conversation. Horses don't look like horses on film, so if a scene requires a horse, they usually just tape a bunch of cats together. Not in the industry anymore, but did some real amateur hit for about a year when I was in college for extra money. The only dark truth I can recall was that they expressly stipulated that the advertised compensation was only for men who were willing to do some scenes. The MF scenes only paid about 45% of the advertised compensation. I'm bi, so it wasn't a big deal, but just know you'll have to be okay with them action if you want to make the good money. I mean, there was also the encouragement of stacking amphetamines and sildenafil to enhance erections and keep it hard, so the fluffers didn't have to bounce around in progress scenes as much. But I always figured people assumed that anyway, lol. During college, I used to bounce for a lot of strip clubs that were frequented by a lot of early 2000s big-name stars in black orn. A few of them told memos to the BBCs they took a pounding from were extremely painful. They just took the pain and focused on the check. I am not a man in the orn industry, but I knew one. His heart is permanently damaged, and he has some neuropathy, as well, due to circulatory issues because he had to overuse *Agra. I worked on one adult set, and bro. The smell. Ungodly. I'll never forget it. I dry heaved for about 20 minutes and couldn't go back into the room. Something deep was unlocked. You are never going to get paid as much as females do, even if you're a star in the gay orn category. Female actors, even amateurs, make significantly more per scene. Additionally, those women in the cam and subscriber sites have significantly more opportunity and income compared to any male * if high is even allowed to sign up. It smells bad. There is so much free orn that I don't see how IT can be an industry at all. The refrigerator never gets fixed. Opening parenthesis. A friend of mine was a cameraman in the Valley for a company and told me that substance abuse was pretty rife. Like the female talent showing up with empty liquor bottles in their cars. Another was just how hitty it can be to be a cameraman sometimes, which he was. He specifically told of a scene he filmed where he had to get underneath the man getting blown and just globs of spit would fall onto his forehead while he filmed that part of the scene. It was just so gross to me, LMAO.